Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Obiama. I talk about all things faith, and that's really it. So let's hop right into it. If you haven't already looked at the title, we're discussing betrayal because that's something, honestly, that happens a little too much, that it's very common, and I think a lot of people can relate to being betrayed, being on the end of someone's betrayal, and it's something that I can personally relate to, right? And I want to unmask this because I believe it's something that the enemy uses to attack a lot of believers and keep them outside of the faith. I posted a video last week talking about church hurt and how we get to the place of church hurt, and I think a lot of what leads some people who are seasoned believers into church hurt is betrayal. And I want to make sure that we're properly, what's the word? We're properly defining betrayal before we move on. So Merriam-Webster's dictionary, Google has a lot of definitions, but the definition I want to focus on is being disloyal to someone is considered a form of betrayal. And the enemy is very intentional about sending betrayal your way, but I want to give us an understanding of why does the spirit of betrayal target a person, right? Because it is a spirit, and that spirit has an intention to make you feel betrayed and to partner with an individual to manifest betrayal upon you. And so why are you the target of betrayal? What did you do to deserve this, right? That's often the question we go to God with, like, why me? Why did this happen to me? And can we be just very open as women? I'm not saying men don't deal with this, but I feel like the capacity is a little bit different. Women, because of the trauma that a lot of us walk with, because of the unhealed places that a lot of us navigate from, because of societal pressure, this false comparison, this false competition, we navigate betrayal a lot. And can I also be a little bit more honest? If you are a conventionally attractive woman, if you are someone who, is by default has desirable aspects about you, there's a lot of people who are, and you are a woman, there's a lot of women you'll encounter because of their unhealed places, unforgiveness, trauma, identity issues, who will attack you or will form close relationships with you only to then turn around and betray you. And so you ask yourself the question of, why am I the target of this betrayal? Why is this happening to me? My iPad's right there. I took some notes. And I want to answer some of those questions. So number one, betrayal targets you because your loyalty or your love is perverted. This is really hard because it feels like we're blaming the victim, right? Like, you're saying, Obiama, that, this person betrayed me because I have a perverted form of love. Yes, absolutely. Why is that? Let's go biblical. When we have a perverted form of loyalty or love, we love people more than God. We are typically people pleasers. And one of the ways that this spirit gets a foothold into your life is that you're navigating from a place of people pleasing. And so what that looks like is, the story of David and Absalom. Quick recap. David has a couple of sons from different women. One of those sons that he has is Absalom. Absalom's sister Tamar gets raped by his older brother. I think it's, I forget his name, Ahithophel, one of those. And David does nothing about it because honestly, David loves his son probably more than he loves God. And why do I say this? Because if he loved God more than he loved his son in that moment, he would have understood that God's justice required a punishment for the crime that his oldest son bore against his sister Tamar by raping her and basically making her unmarriageable and disgracing her and causing her to live in Absalom's life and house. And so what that led to was a spirit of betrayal that honestly followed David for the rest of his walk with God. We see that first in his son Absalom, who basically tried to take the kingdom from his father, turned everybody against his daddy, and was almost successful until the Lord intervened. And then we also see it from one of David's chief advisors, who was a part of the initial fall from grace with Bathsheba. It ends up that he was the granddaddy of Bathsheba, and he was mad about how David basically, or we're postulating that he was mad about how David basically stole his granddaughter and killed his grandson-in-law. I don't know if that's the way you say it, but the spirit of betrayal follows David. And it's because David, as great as he was human, and he dealt with a lot. And one of the things he dealt with, although he understood the glory and the magnitude of God, when it came to his family, when it came to those that were intimate to him, we see that with Jonathan, we see that, even with his own sons, right? There's a clouding of judgment. There's a false loyalty that is conceived. There's a perversion of love. And what that looks like is, he wouldn't punish things that he needed to punish, and he would lament over things that he didn't need to lament over. So when Absalom even died, his cry was, Absalom, Absalom, my son. And on one hand, that is the heart of God, because God always grieves over his children. Anytime one of us falls or is lost, or someone chooses something outside of him, right? But on the other hand, right, God has given the king the victory, and this person was trying to kill you, David, and you're still grieving over him. So we see the duality of this beautiful heart that God commends, but also the pitfalls of this beautiful heart that God commends. So you are a target of betrayal. Number one, if your understanding of loyalty, your understanding of love is perverted in any capacity, you love people more than God in any way, shape, or form, it gives a foothold for the spirit of betrayal to come into your life. Number two, your discernment is hampered. When your discernment is hampered, God exposes that issue in your discernment by allowing people to get close to you that are going to betray you. So it makes you say, whoa, what's going on here? Or you experience this pain, you experience this hurt, right? The scriptures say that we learn obedience through our suffering. Some of us will not learn how to discern well until we discern wrongly, are stung by it, and then we discern well. And so if you have been betrayed, or you are going through betrayal, or betrayal happens more often to you than you would like, something's off with your discernment. Either you're hearing from God, or you're not trusting it, or you're not hearing from God at all. And both of those things are an issue, right? Both of those things indicate that something needs to be addressed by you. And so the number two reason that you are a target of the spirit that manifests itself as betrayal is your discernment is hampered. The third reason I want to present to you that the spirit of betrayal could be attacking you or find you or hindering you is that it's a platform for your spiritual maturity. This is the uncomfortable one to say, because it goes back to that Romans verse that talks about all things work together for the good of those who love God, right? You have to understand that you rank up in the realm of the spirit by the wars, the conflicts that you have successfully persevered over, the conflicts that you've triumphed and done well in triumphing through. And so if you've never gone through nothing, you are not marked. There's no marks. You think about the realm of the spirit, like you think about the military, right? You don't give Purple Hearts to the guys who sit at home. Purple Hearts are for the guys and they're rare, from my understanding, they're for the guys who fought in the great wars and have come out alive. And so you rank up in the spirit by how you deal with certain things. Betrayal, especially if you're a prophet or a prophetic type, is one of those things that God, as much as the enemy means it for your detriment, so he means it to separate you from God, he means it so that you question the goodness of God, the love of God, the faithfulness of God. God is still using that betrayal for your good. He is still allowing those arrows that that piercing, the gossip, the slander, the way they talked about you like a dog, even though they would smile to your face and pretend to be your friend. He's using that to purify the platform for your promotion. He's bragging about you in the courts of heavens. Job did not get attacked by Satan until God bragged about him before the courts of heaven and said, have you considered my servant Job? And so some of you are so frustrated because you feel like Satan is after you because something bad is happening, but God is like, no, I've been bragging about you before my courts. Enemy got wind of you and he's testing to see if what is in you is really in you. And so God is proving to the countless witnesses in the heavenly realms that you are worthy of trust, that you are one whose heart is truly like the Father. You are one who is yielded, that even though they betrayed you, you're going to forgive. Even though they betrayed you, you're not going to talk about them like a dog too. You're not going to fight fire with fire. You are going to love in the purest way. Even though, your husband cheated on you, even though your best friend was part of the issue, even though the person you gave your last to sat up there and convinced themselves that you were trying to take from them, even though this disloyalty happened in this capacity, it's not going to change who you are. In fact, what God had been doing in you was going to shine even the more. Here's one thing I really want to address too. These spirits of betrayal that bring about conflict, right? They're going to happen after you have successfully gone through a purging season, a deliverance season, a healing season, an addressing season, right? If we look at the pattern of how God works, and you got to track with me biblically, the children of Israel didn't just go from Egypt to the promised land, right? Their deliverer had to go from Egypt to the desert where he got purified, delivered himself, cleansed, and then he was able to go to Pharaoh. He had to fight with Pharaoh. There was more conflict. And then after the conflict was the receiving of the promise. And so what God often does, if we track this pattern of Moses, is that he'll take you through a purging season where it's like he's revealing everything about you. He's cleansing you. He's taking to you giving you a greater desire for himself. And then at the end of that season, you're expecting to rest because here's God. He's sanctified you. He's made you new. He's brought you to this new place where you love him even more. And then there's war. You're fighting. And that fight is not to kill you. That fight is to prove to the realm of the spirit that all that character stuff you dealt with back then, it was solid. It was real. It's verifiable. It's trustworthy, right? You are gold. And so I don't know who needs this encouragement, but you're not going through warfare because, Satan is just hates your guts. You're going through warfare because heaven is proving that you're worthy, right? Your warfare is to prove your worthiness. So how do you overcome betrayal with all that being said? Number one, forgive the betrayer. That's not optional. I don't know how you're going to do it. Pray for forgiveness. Pray for them, right? Like truly take them before. And I thank God for Prophet Tiffany because she said it best. Forgiveness is not a feeling. I don't have to feel like forgiving you. I'm going to freely forgive you because I've been freely forgiven. I'm going to freely give to you, the love of God because I'm loved freely and I'm loved consistently by the Father. And so forgiveness is a mandate when you are betrayed. You gotta forgive the betrayer. Sit in that, fast and pray until you are at that place where you can forgive that person. Prophet Tiffany has a live about forgiveness, so I recommend you go find her channel and watch it. I think it's quality stuff. Ask God to equip you. This is number 2 way to overcome betrayal. Ask God to equip you to better love people righteously. When I say righteously, I mean in the ways that please the Lord, right? Not in the place of people pleasing where you will pervert your love for people over your loyalty to God, right? Ask God, how do I love people better in a way where these kind of things don't hurt as much? Not because I'm not human, but because I understand that your word says humans are as frail as breath. They will fail me, but you never do. Don't let me pedestalize any individual, God, when you are the only one who's worthy of sitting on the throne of my heart. And then the last way to overcome, spirit of betrayal, take inventory, right? When you are betrayed, it means take a step back and look at your life. What was the open door? What did that betrayal reveal about you? What did that betrayal reveal about your character? What did that betrayal reveal about your discernment, your judgment, your ability to see people and rightly place them in your life? What did that betrayal reveal? Don't just sit at the place where you're complaining to your girlfriend that so-and-so hurt you and them did that to you. No. What did that betrayal prove about you? Or not prove about you? Right? That's how you overcome a spirit of betrayal. My encouragement, my admonition, and my plead to you guys is that, let's overcome the spirit of betrayal. Let's not let it hamper or hinder what God wants to do in us. Yes, you're going to mourn. You're going to grieve that lost relationship, that lost friendship, that lost church community, whatever that case is, grieve it. Do so with the Holy Spirit, but don't stay in that place and don't use the fact that you were betrayed again as a justification for your disobedience, because heaven is proving you. Heaven is qualifying you. And if you pass this test, there's glory on the other side of this. I pray this blessed you. I encourage you to share it on your socials and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.